Hello once again everybody, welcome back to Full Play Games and the third episode of what has become a weekly update. So, let's have a little look at what I've been up to this week. First of all, if we have a look over here, we can see that I have significantly expanded my water production. So we got 4 groups over here, we've got another 4 groups over here. Now, that one there, you'll see why when we get closer. You'll see why that looks a little bit on the strange side. It is because we got these, got those in the way, so we couldn't lay it out the way that we did. We've also changed our main colour to be more of a yellow rather than the orange, which is only slightly off our the original Fix It orange. Next, you can see that I have done quite a bit of work on the main wall surrounding our base. Now we'll get to that later, but it looks a little more visually interesting, not just a great big orange box. Up here you will notice that we have added another set of coal generators. This wasn't copied and pasted, I had to recreate this entirely by hand, but of course the original one is next to it. You can also see that we have got solar panels on there. We've got it on the top of this one, and we've also got it on the top of our storage room for the space elevator parts. We've removed the biomass because we're using solar panel now for the backup startup power, and we've used that space to increase our battery capacity significantly. So in the power control room we've got no more biomass, we've got solar hooked up here. Solar can hook into the main grid feed on the left, just like that one there, and the backup feed on the right. Right there, it's exactly the same thing everywhere else. Also got a battery feed in there. So over here, this is our new storage area. I've left these roof panels off just so I can get in. I've actually went through the wiki and I found out exactly how many parts we need. Exactly how many parts we need to produce. So this is all the space we need. It's 12 across the bottom there. So you've got 24 on each floor, which makes 48 on the 2 floors. So you'll see I've got a little bit of a roofing aesthetic going on here. Sort of a nice sawtooth with like windows. So I haven't roofed this one off yet, but it's all ready. The solar panel roof obviously faces, well, it should be facing south, but it actually faces west. I'm not entirely sure why. It just, whenever I play the game, it always feels as if the sun is coming from that direction. It's probably sort of later in the day. Anyways, it's up there at the moment. But the other ones, as you can see for my massive steel plant, for instance, they face the other way. They're just regular roofs. I haven't bothered doing anything else like that. Got windows there so that they catch the sunlight and funnel it in. And there is absolutely no confusion over what is being made inside this building. Very clear. Yes, we have a little look inside. The sun is coming through those very nicely, and we get little shafts of light. It's just the time of day I'm on at the moment. We get little shafts of light just being cast over there. Oh look, I haven't finished the catwalk this side. Oh dear. Well, that will need to be done. The reason being is that I've decided to overproduce where possible. So if the input conveyor belt has 480 items per minute and my machines can take 45 items per minute, it means that 10 machines will be completely saturated by that input, but will have a little bit left over. So I've expanded all of these now to be 11. That's why, as you can see on the top of here, there's an odd number. And over here, of course, you see there's 2 rows of 4 and 1 row of 3. So yes, we'll have slightly more machines than the supply can actually supply, but it means that we're pumping out as much as we possibly can. But that means that we had to make the factory, if I can get out the door, the factory a little bit larger. And that brings me to these. The reason why these are yellow is it's a little reminder to me that I need to update the belt work a bit. The belt work works, it's all perfectly fine, but it's not quite right. And it's just not quite right. It's not uniform. It doesn't quite make as much sense as it should. Over here, once you get past the autosave, the Caterium ingots are in here, of course. You can see that I've decided to make the factory bigger so that it's in line with all the others. So we do have a little bit of wasted space. But it's all fine. So obviously you can see there's an extra one off the corner here. These all need to be sorted out. Basically, when it comes to this, what I want to do is I want to move that one on that corner to over here. Because if I did want to add another one later, I'd want to add it there, so that it would come down here and feed into one there. So basically I want this, the first one here, to go up there. I've done it on other floors. I've done a couple of floors in the concrete factory like that. It just means adding more stuff later will be easier, because adding an extra one to all of these I found was a little bit tricky because I had to rebelt the whole thing. And after I'd done a couple of floors of that, I realised that, yeah, things needed to be changed. So yes, here we are in the concrete plant. You can see that this is basically what I want. So over here you can see I've moved it. So at the bottom level there is 4, so that feeds into the 4 here. First one right on the left, First one on the left goes into the first one of the group of 4. Now see, if we were doing it the other way, it would come down this one. So you can see it would be pretty easy now to add an extra one of these, should I want to later. I mean, I won't, because I'm already using all of the stuff that's being put in. But you can see it would be relatively trivial to add another balancer there, run the conveyor belt down here, into here, and then just straight out the bottom and into this empty one here. Because that's what I need to do on this side. I want them in discrete groups of 4. It all makes sense in my mind. I'm probably not explaining it very well at all. But anyway, that's what I've been doing. That has been taking up a fair amount of my time. That's why some of these have yellow walls on them. It's just to remind me of the ones that I've done and the ones that I haven't. So coming around the other side, of course, all the input ones on this one are done, because I had to build them for the concrete in the first place. But yeah, the Caterium ingots one definitely needs a bit of improvement. So I've plotted out how much space I need. I've plotted out where the other ones are going to go. And over here, this is a bit of my test area. So what I've got over here is a magic machine that outputs oil. It's all shut down at the moment, so I've done my little experiments. Basically, it's thinking about pipe work and balancing. Basically, I'm not going to be doing this way. So there's a hell of a lot of refineries producing a hell of a lot of fuel. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So yes, I'm not going to be doing it this way. I've decided. This was the original wall of the factory, and I realised that it wasn't in line with my new way of doing things. So I'm trying to find the right words now. So I've basically enlarged it slightly so that it's in line with everything. It is now exactly a kilometre from this corner to the other one. It's absolutely ridiculous. Is the basic construction of this is you've got foundations here that are not in line with the main grid. Vertically they're aligned, but they are half a foundation off in both directions. So yes, the corner of the factory comes down right in the middle of this foundation here. I'll just wait for it to save. There we go. The foundations here are just above the water line. So you have an extra foundation on top. You've got these metal pillars coming up here. And then you've got the beam connectors and beams. And a nice little lattice work to support the factory. The main foundation at the bottom follows the contours of the land as best I can. And when the beam would go into the foundation, you just need to step up. So I'm going to fly as quickly as I can around the building. So I'm basically planning on having oil. I'm having fuel generators here, but the modular power station fuel generators. So the corner on here was fairly tricky actually, because you're sort of hanging out over a waterfall. So you just had to bring it down a bit. Oh dearie me, it took me a very, very long time to do all of this. And the thing is, I find myself working on the aesthetics of the factory and experimenting a little bit more than actually getting to produce things. So this is where we're starting to see things under construction. So yeah, we're all constructed up to here, and then things go a little bit awry. So you can see the first thing you do is you build out the foundations, you follow the contours, and you build your metal pillars. You put your connectors on top, and you run your beams along the top. So it's 5 foundations between each pillar. When you're stepping up, you're going to have to use 2.5. When you reach the end and it's like this, also you need a 2.5. And this is going to be our next corner of the factory. So from here you can really get an idea of just how big this thing is. Also, when I was realizing how many items we were making, I'm going to have to make this even bigger. I'm going to have other bases like this around the map. This is going to be a huge undertaking. It really will be. So yeah, it's another kilometre in that direction. So this factory is a square kilometre. I mean, we've got that great big rocky outcropping there, and that is kind of in the way a bit. But we'll work around that. We'll work around that like we worked around that there. You can see I've got a little bit of working out done over there to line things up properly. But yes, it's kind of open like this so you can access the beam connectors in the middle for now. So let's have a little play, shall we? So it's change that to default mode to make sure they're nice and level. So you drag it out, that's 40 meters. You pop a connector on. Let's do another one. Go out another 40 meters. And there. That's fine. That's as far as we'll go this time. So we switch back to diagonal mode. Click back on there and it's 25.612 meters. It's handy if you remember that number because it essentially it's a double check to make sure that you've got it right. And then just hook them up in a lattice structure like that. Now when it comes to the walls get a little bit tricky. Yeah, the walls get a little bit tricky because you need to line them up exactly. So what I found is if you put a pillar right in the middle and then you can get your wall, yeah, put it right in the middle of the foundation and then put your wall on top, and that doesn't work. No. Okay, yes. I got that wrong. I got that entirely wrong. Wait for the autosave. You need to put it in the middle of one of the sides of the foundations. That's it. And hook that up like that, and then you can zoop. So that should line up nicely. There we go. That's basically all you need to do to get the wall in the right place. It's not tricky or difficult at all. I'll just leave it over there for now, I think. Just fill in this little bit of wall. Oops. We will be coming back to that corner in a minute, so we won't put the come on, Zoop. There we go. Right. And you would just continue that straight up, keep going until you reach the level where it's in line with the rest of the factory. So that is what I've been spending pretty much all week doing. Apart from my other videos, of course. Yeah, this is going to take a very, very long time. I'm at 150 something hours. So yes, it has taken me a while. Another thing you have to do is clear the vegetation, because you find that around here certainly all these trees get in the way somewhat. So yeah, I've got quite a bit of wood and leaves hanging around, so I'm going to have to do something with those. Anyway, I've had a load of fun doing this so far. So basically, things for the next... My plans for next week. Basically, what I want to do is I want to finish off this wall. I'm just going to finish off that wall. It's just to give me an idea of how far that way I'm going. I'll do a little stub coming off that, like I did in that corner. I'm going to get rid of all of that because I'm not using those anymore. That was just a test. That was just a test. So I want to use the steel output to produce the 3 main steel items. The pipes, the beams, and the encased beams. I'll probably also work on the iron items as well. I probably won't have time for copper or anything else, but if we have a quick look downstairs, you'll see something that I completely forgot to mention is the fact I've also doubled my iron production. So, yeah, basically, I'm feeding iron and steel production at full capacity. For the power plants, I've spun off the 2 miners to work for the power plants completely. Obviously those water pumps there aren't actually hooked up to anything just yet. I'm still only using half of the water. I'm still only using half of my water supply. This thing here was a little bit weird, a little bit wonky. So yeah, I had to turn everything through 90 degrees. It was a bit strange. But yes, I've significantly increased my iron production, so I can feed my iron and steel plants simultaneously, because it occurred to me that I'm going to be using a hell of a lot of that stuff. And that little bit down there was my oil test. First, that'll probably be gone by the next time we come back, because I don't actually need oil running just yet. I've already put in some pipelines for the fuel generators, and obviously this is the feed to the steel. This is the feed to the steel foundries. Obviously concrete is finished and hooked up to the storage. It's the only thing it is the only thing I have hooked up to storage so far. Anyway, yes. I didn't even realise I hadn't finished that. I don't know why. Anyway. So that's pretty much it for today. We're all up to speed now. I'm not entirely sure exactly how I'm going to do the next episode. Maybe it'll just be an update like this one. Maybe you'll join me for some non-boring building work. I just realised those aren't straight. That texture is not straight. Oh, that's really weird. Anyway, yes. Thanks very much for watching. I know not many people watch these. Certainly not for very long. So, who knows how many people are still with me? Probably nobody. Anyway, I'm rambling, so thanks very much for watching. I'll see you all next week. Goodbye.